Now, we are doing a playthrough learning from scratch Hoi 3 with Black Ice. Now, I don't have very much experience playing Hoi to begin with. I just started playing Hoi 4 about last week. It's one of those games that I really wanted to play, and I started playing with Black Ice at the very beginning because I thought, hey, I heard so many good things about how great this mod is. I'm going to learn how to play this from the very get-go. Now, obviously, it doesn't pull its punches. It is a very complex game. So what I'm trying to do here is do a playthrough with a game that I haven't played, and even just looking at this compared to Hoi 3, Hoi 4 is way more streamlined, way less complicated. It's almost like it's a completely different game. So I know that theoretically speaking, yes, Black Ice works in Hoi 4. Black Ice and Hoi 4 compared to Black Ice and Hoi 3, completely different. So this is going to take a while to get used to. So what I'm going to do is try to do a kind of walkthrough of all the different features. I might be commenting on how things are different compared to Hoi 4. I might be comparing this to EU4. I might be comparing this to CK3. I might be comparing it to a bunch of other games. Just going to kind of look at how the game works. Now, I did take a few minutes before this to just go ahead and familiarize myself a little bit with the interface. It is very different from Hoi 4. Hoi 4 has become very, it's very streamlined, and compared to this, it's a very different system. So in some ways, it was just getting used to that. But I do have a little bit of familiarity with how the systems work, right? I know what research is supposed to do. I know what politics is supposed to do. I'm familiar with some of the basic concepts from Hoi 4, which are, in the Hoi 3. But in terms of the specificity of it, a lot of this is Black Ice all the way. So this is going to be a learning experience for me. So hopefully you'll be able to have fun taking a look at this while I'm learning how to play this game at the same time. I am going to start streaming some of this but I wanted to make a video exclusively just for YouTube to kind of explore the game. For me, this is brand new. I know this game's been out since 2009. There have been a lot of iterations of the gameplay since then. Obviously, Black Ice has evolved a lot since the first Black Ice mod way back in the day. I don't have any frame of reference to compare. So what I'm going to do here is just kind of, from a complete novice's point of view, kind of go into the things that I notice that are really cool, things that grab my attention, things that are different from my limited experience with Hoi 4, and go from there. So one thing I want to do is just go through all these different windows. I honestly don't even know how to move anything. Armies are very complicated looking. I'm used to divisions being in an editor. You have like a division editor. I feel like all of this is manual. You have a bunch of brigades that you manually build and then build your divisions that way and do this all from the ground up. So this is in some ways a very granular experience. I don't even know what these things are. I don't know what energy is. I don't know what metal is. I don't know what raw materials are. These are all things that are streamlined in Hoi 4 in Black Ice in a way that is a little bit more accessible to somebody who's not used to playing it. So for me, I'm just going to go through all the different tabs before I even start the game to go through here and kind of get a sense of what we're supposed to be doing. So obviously we're in a little bit of a deficit for a couple of these things here. One thing I've noticed is that you can actually offer trade alliances or trade offers, which again is taken care of in a different way in Hoi 4 in Black Ice. So when I say Hoi 4, I'm always going to be referring to Black Ice in Hoi 4, not just vanilla Hoi 4, because I'm not sure how things are in there. My only frame of reference is Black Ice. Turns out that my only frame of reference is a very complicated one, and it's a very specific one. I did try to do a Finland campaign in Black Ice in Hoi 4, so this is trying to do this in Hoi 3, because I feel like I've noticed that there are a couple things I just didn't translate in terms of gameplay, in terms of strategy. I noticed that the Germans would never get anywhere close to Stalingrad. The Germans would just kind of stall out probably around Minsk, right? So you wouldn't really see them progress to the to Leningrad. And for me, who's trying to do a little bit more of a historical playthrough, I wanted to be able to fight the Winter War, have that end, and the game scripted that, right? The Soviets do offer peace regardless of how the war is going, but I also wanted to follow up with that and do the continuation war. Now, obviously, trying to do that was very tricky. it just didn't quite work. And it wasn't, I don't think it was necessarily just me being bad at being a general, which is completely a possibility. But I think really what it came down to was me not really, I don't know, there wasn't, in my opinion, it didn't seem like it was balanced enough to be able to do the kind of campaign that I wanted to do, right? The reason why the Finns historically were able to do the continuation war was because the Germans were right outside of Leningrad, right? They were successful in that first phase of Barbarossa to push the Soviets back. So it didn't quite happen in the versions of the playthrough that I did. Now I'm scrolling out here just to get a look at the map, which is really, really well done here. I don't know exactly how to kind of change it to country view. This is just like the general view, right? This is Finland, obviously. So we're playing as a very difficult minor country. We're not playing as a major country because I started playing as Finland, so I thought, hey, might as well try to continue. You know, I'm a little bit more familiar with the forces, with the general layout of things. Now, one thing I have noticed that's different from Hoi 4 is that you have a lot of these regiments. These are just kind of, these units are, and please forgive me for misusing the terminology. I'm learning the terminology as well. I was a history major, but I didn't really study military history in depth. I was very interested in it, but I'm not really good at the terminology, you know, the difference between a battalion and a regiment, a company, a platoon. So I have some small idea, but I'm going to be learning that along with you guys here. So brigades, these are the units here, right? So the brigades are part of that division. So from what I get, right, so division is up here. This is, of course, this is going to be in Finnish. So you have the, now I don't speak any Finnish. I did try to learn a little bit of it years and years and years ago. So whatever I might have is just based on that and some of my familiarity with Finnish folk music. So Paisikunta here, which is the large army group, I guess is the large army group in general. Then you have one army group into 3 divisions. This is something I am not familiar with in Hoi, even in Hoi 4. So there's a big list of here. All of this is not necessarily obvious what it is, not least because of the fact that it's in Finnish, right? So you have these divisions. You have light infantry, which I only know to be light infantry because of what I saw in Hoi 4 in Black Ice. So I know these are light infantry here. At least I'm assuming this is ski infantry, I think. Yeah, there we go. We have some ski infantry units. Now, this I do appreciate. In Hoi 4, I feel like this just wasn't part of a thing. It just became light infantry. Didn't really go into detail. Now, I think from this, right, you have, you have corps and divisions. You have all these different kinds of divisions, which I'm going to go into. I'm going to go and learn more about that. Now, I think this is one of those games that really rewards you for playing semi-historically, so that's what I'm going to try to do. I'm not going to try to like go to war with Sweden. I'm going to try to see if I can fight off the Soviets and then kind of come back and do the continuation war. So just getting a basic feel of what the layout is here. You have some of these larger divisions with these brigades. Now, just to kind of see what they have an infantry regiment, artillery, recon cavalry, engineer, step horse transport, and veteran division headquarters. So what I'm probably going to be doing is emulating what they have set up here when I make a new division, right? Based on what looks like it works, probably more historically correct, versus what I'm used to from Hoi 4, right? Where you have like a 7-2 spam, right? Which I didn't want to do, but like even then, it was different, right? So I'm not exactly sure how any of this works. That's going to be something else I'm going to learn completely. That's like a step that I'm going to have to do. But I think what I'm going to try to do first is try to get, and this could be the wrong thing to do, is trying to get the economy up and running. So right now we're running at a deficit of 21 a day. This is for energy. Now, one of the things I've noticed in Black Ice and Hoi 4, you didn't have money. Money was just not a thing, right? So you had political power points, which I guess substituted for money in Hoi 4. So this is something we're trying to figure out here. Now we have a surplus of rare materials. We have a deficit of metal and energy and a deficit of crude oil. So I'm going to, I feel like the game actually does kind of push you in certain directions with trade from the get-go once you actually start the game. So I'm going to go ahead and skip that for right now. So in terms of diplomacy, it looks like we're doing okay. There's a bunch of what looks like a mission tree here, which is very different from what I'm used to experiencing in Hoi 4 Black Ice. where you have an entire tree, right? You have a mission tree, you have a focus tree. Now, maybe there is one and I have no idea where it is. But from what I can see, I feel like a lot of that is just here in the diplomacy screen. There's some certain goals that you can do. But as far as an actual mission tree that I'm used to seeing, say, in HOI 4 or in EU 3 or 4, I don't see that. So it could just be somewhere here that I haven't discovered yet. Again, like I said, I'm really coming to this not having played this at all. So this is me exploring and also trying to figure out how all of these things work. So we have our energy, our metal, rare materials, crude oil supplies, fuel, and money. So this is the production screen here. So upgrades, I think this is for upgrading the units that are out in the field. This is reinforcement. I think this is for creating new units, supplies, production, consumer goods, and lend-lease. Now, I'm letting the computer create the convoys on its own. This is normal, right, versus AI control. I want to kind of figure out what's going on here. Technology, this is also a very different window from what I'm used to in HOI 4. The technology window in HOI 4 is a little bit more graphically based. This is just kind of like a bunch of, you know, a bunch of numbers and figures thrown at you, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. But it is something that I'm going to take some time to read through, and that's going to take some time, right? It's not something that I have a meta for. It's not something that I have any idea what to do. Like I said, coming into this, kind of just feeling how the game works is very different. So there's a bunch of stuff with the different industries here. All these different things. Now we can research up to 7.81. I don't know what determines this number. I did play through here a little bit earlier before, about 20 minutes, 20, 30 minutes, trying to get a sense of what the UI was trying to do here. So I don't know what is more important in terms of industry, in terms of infantry. So I think what I'm going to do, the safe thing, right? Let's just kind of improve our basic infantry skills here. So we have semi-motorization of infantry, mounted infantry activation. These are already kind of unlocked, right? So small arms would probably be a good stable one. Infantry support weapons. I feel like these are just kind of run-of-the-mill. You should probably do, you know, all the basic research here. Now, obviously, a bunch of this is like, you know, determined by preset conditions here. And so this is grayed out, right? But for other things, we can go ahead and start researching, you know, for infantry, engineer unit training. I know that in HOI 4, engineers are really good for forest fighting, camouflage designs. I'm assuming that would be helpful. There's a bunch of modifiers that are listed here. But I think defensiveness, obviously, we're gonna start the game on the back foot here versus the Soviets. Defensive position designs, I feel like mountains, forest defense plus 7.5, right? So there's a lot of flavor text, which is really nice. Defensive positions include the following: minefields, barbed wire, pillboxes, AT positions, camouflage, trench systems, and command posts. With greater technology, tactics, and experience, these positions gain in effectiveness and defensive power. So I think a lot of this is just kind of, you know, it's your typical kind of modifier soup that you get with a lot of Paradox games, which is great. Well, I do appreciate that. So we're spending all of our technology points really just researching military things just from this window. We'll see what happens once the game actually starts. Now, politics, we have a bunch of people here. We have a bunch of laws. Now, again, this is slightly different from what you see in HOI 4, Black Ice, right? You do have the ministers. It's a little bit more graphically condensed. You don't have everything kind of here. A lot of that information just comes up in the form of tooltips here. Here, it's all kind of like put in front of you just to look at from the very get-go. So let's see, we have Open Society, 3-year draft, which again, I thought was going to be, you have to do certain things and have a certain government form in HOI 4 to be able to do that, so it's nice to have that here already there. That increases our manpower, I'm assuming. There it is, National Manpower Modifier. Economic laws, full civilian economy, massive education investment, consumer product orientation, free press. Specialist training, basic training for both the air and naval forces, and a volunteer army for the conscription laws. So if we wanted to say go ahead to normal conscription, that would increase our manpower modifier by quite a bit compared to the volunteer army. I'm not sure exactly what we would need. So here, it says, one of the following must be true. At war, all of the below. Neutrality is below 65. Again, I don't know what neutrality is here. There was a threat model, I think a threat level, in Hoi 4, so I'm not sure if that's neutrality in this case. Ruling party is not democracy, right? Neutrality is below 70, so this is conscription, right? I'm not sure if we are a democratic nation. I think we might be. So these are all the debuffs that we have right now. So I'm not sure exactly how to change that, right? We have an open society. Can we pig-headed isolationist? Wow, that's pretty blunt here. Now, there's a bunch. Okay, so elections are held every 36 months. The next election is going to happen July 2nd, 1936. That font is a little washed out on the back, the white background here, but we have a bunch of people who I'm just going to leave in for right now. Armament Minister, Minister of Security, etc., etc. So I'm going to leave that as is. That's the politics screen. Social Democrat. So intelligence, this is something different from Hoi 4, but I think it's pretty straightforward. Now, obviously our biggest enemy and our biggest threat is the Soviet Union. So what I'm going to do is send some people here. I think this is going to be active spies. It has 1, counter-espionage 5. I don't know what all of this is. Active spies abroad 9. Let's make this the highest priority here. I don't know any of these, what these do here, but let's say military espionage sounds good. Counter-espionage and say covert operations, right? I'm not sure exactly what this does here, but we're going to start off with that. That sounds pretty good. So I'm not sure if these are just the numbers of spies that we have out there, but we'll go ahead and start with that for right now. Theaters, obviously we only have the 1 theater. BICE, I think that just means the local theater here. We don't have, and we have a defensive stance towards the Soviet Union and a defensive stance towards Sweden. So these are different fronts, right? So if we go to all the different fronts, I think, you know, compared to what we have, say, in the Hoi 4, you don't actually go ahead, you don't draw the lines in there. I don't know how we do this here. A lot of this is just kind of fumbling through the strategic warfare overview. So I think this is just like a large kind of meta picture of how the wars are going in general when you start going into them. And this is the ledger screen, I'm assuming, the statistics here. So theaters, front planning, I'm not sure. So we're defensive everywhere, so I think I'm just going to leave that for right now. Lentira front towards Soviet Union. So if we go to it, I don't know how I can say this is Lentira front. So this is Lentira here. And then there's a bunch of modifiers, right? There's a river crossing, it's a forest, and then there's a bunch of modifiers down here. On the one hand, it's a lot of information, but on the other hand, this is really neat to be able to get that granular of information. It is pretty neat. It's pretty cool. So if we go back to the diplomacy screen, again, I'm trying to figure out how this works. Production, now, there's normal and AI control. I'm not sure exactly what is which. I know in Hoi 4, if you go into Black Ice, you can, maybe because of the way the game is set up, it seems to be very, very different, that you produce things individually. So you'd produce things from everything from horse supplies to field supplies to mortars, submachine guns, tanks, anti-aircraft, handheld anti-aircraft. So I'm not sure if you do that in Hoi 3, Black Ice, or if it just kind of takes care of it for you. I have a hard time imagining that they wouldn't give you the option to do that, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure where that would be. Maybe they do. Maybe they take care of that and you don't have to kind of micromanage all that. Or it could just be that I don't know exactly where that window is at. So one thing I noticed in Hoi 4 is that you have a production window where you have a whole bunch of factories. You kind of micromanage what factories are producing what. I'm not sure if Black Ice does away with that, or if that's something that is just not something in Hoi 3, and that might have been a new kind of UI in Hoi 4. But from what it looks like here, it seems pretty straightforward. I don't know what the strategic resources are. I don't know what fur is, why Vipur is producing fur, what it does. I don't know. Maybe it's for clothing of some sort. Maybe it increases your uniforms. So that's just like kind of a basic overview, very, very, very basic overview of what we have going on here. We have a bunch of our resources up here. We have the date. We have a whole bunch of modifiers to the country. And I don't know what this is. So I think is industrial capacity. This is something I did look up because Hoi 4 had this, and you had it in Black Ice as well. But I know I've read that it's handled a little bit differently here. So base 36, available 42. So wasted IC, I think you can actually, it's more of an abstract figure. and you have a bunch of sliders that you adjust here. So if we go here, so wasted 7, base is 36, available is 42. So that's what these slash numbers are. So upgrade, say we need 577. Let's move that to 577. Ooh. And it looks like everything else kind of adjusts automatically. Now supplies we need 4.16. What happens when we get to that? Now, I think this just, oh, so we have wasted 6 IC wasted. So I think industrial capacity, this is manual control versus prioritize certain things, right? Production, manual control, reinforcement. So if we do manual control and we just go up to these numbers, I wonder if there's a way to just kind of type this in, or if we need to use the sliders every single time. Let's say 577, just to get to that point. I don't know if these all kind of compensate for one another in a way that makes sense, or if we just need to go in here and just kind of adjust these in a way that just finally results in something making sense. Now, we're not actually making anything right now. We haven't actually queued anything up for production. So I think what we do here, number one, let's try to fumble around here and try to figure out what we can make and where we put those. So we have some theater forces here at BICE. These look like, okay, so interceptor and 3 medium bombers. Now the convoys I'm letting the computer take care of because I'm not sure exactly what I'm supposed to do here. This is an interesting picture. So it looks like this, I don't know if this is specific, but this looks like Finland and Sweden here. I'm not sure if that just happens to be a very specific background. Du kan hjälpa. So this looks like it's in Swedish here. So that might be something very specific to this theater, or it could just be a generic background that happens to line up with what we're doing right now. So if we take a look here at escort, so these, a bunch of these windows, so convoy, serial, parallel. Do we need any? I don't know. Can we make some? It looks like we can. Should we be making them? I'm not sure. It says IC cost is 2. Again, do we need convoys? I'm actually not sure what we need them for. We have 18 of them available. And I don't know what this, we have 1 escort and 18 transports. This looks like it's transporting goods from Turku to Mariehamn. So yeah, I think we're okay with that. Let's just make a division here. So if we make a division, I think there might be some pre-made right here. So there's an infantry, recon cab, anti-tank, artillery, engineer, horse transport, and division headquarters. So if we just click on that, that's a template. 7 allowed brigades, 7 in there. Do we go ahead and make one? Sure, why not? Let's just do one. This seems to give us a division HQ buff here for combined arms. It's a recon unit. It has it's infantry, it has artillery and direct fire, and it has assault because of the engineers here, and it does have transports in the form of horse transports. There's a bunch of kind of modifiers that are going on here. So if we start production, let's see what happens here. So terrain, I do want to focus on the fact that we are going to be doing a lot of fighting in the forest. So if we take a look at the woods here, woods and forest, I guess they've made it even different here. Attack is down for both these, defense is higher for both of them, and movement's okay. Let's see what happens if instead of the infantry regiment, we attach a ski infantry. So if we do that, what happens here in terms of terrain? It seems to be okay. The attacking through the woods and the forest is not great. It's -40, -25 for woods, forest and woods. If we attach regular infantry, it's about the same. So if we take a look here at some of these stats, again, this is part of like the Grognard kind of, let's take a look at the details here. Soft attack is better for infantry as opposed to the ski infantry, and it looks like the infantry regiment is just kind of better in general. Now I'm trying to figure out, I know ski infantry obviously has to have some kind of advantage here, and it looks like it's this in toughness, right? Toughness, and in softness it's about the same. It's about the same speed. Now this is build cost in IC, right? So if we're building this entire brigade here, I'm not sure where the full number is. Total division stats. Okay, so it's going to take 11 IC to build this. 205 days. Manpower cost of 9.5. I'm not sure if that 9.5 is out of this 176. So fuel here, supply consumption, suppression, speed. So this is giving us a rundown of all the different, so the combat with us here is very, very different. right? I'm not sure if this is for the entire brigade or just for what we have highlighted. But I feel like this is something that's good to start with. So we're going to do one of these. So a bunch of practicals here. Reduces building cost and time by whatever percentage here. So let's go ahead and start production. So this says it's going to be done by July 25th, 1936. And this is the 2nd Division, 100% production right now. And we have a bunch of modifiers. We're going to have that at the highest priority here. We do have a little bit of waste IC, so we have 3 more. So I don't know what we do here. Maybe we just build this air wing. We have this, though I might not build that. I don't know if that's going to work here. Automatic redeployment. I don't know how to do any of this stuff. So let's save this right here. Because now we have some idea of how to do this. And I think when we actually get back to the next segment, we'll take a look at how to actually do things here in game. So I think that first look here at the basic UI, we have an idea of what to do. Next segment, we're actually going to start playing when we actually start the game. So thanks for joining us for this first segment here. And hopefully it will be a very, very interesting series, but we will get back into the next segment and we're actually going to start the game clock and see how that goes. But this is going to be our playthrough of Hoi 3 Black Ice as Finland from myself, who's not very experienced with Hoi to begin with and has no experience with Black Ice in Hoi 3, which is a game I've never played. But hopefully you'll be able to enjoy the series, and hopefully we'll find out some good strats to do here as Finland in 1936. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you next time.